Hello, I'm Carrie Pena, and welcome to this digital Dinner for Dignity celebrating Central Arizona Shelter Services, better known by many as CASS. Thank you so very much for joining us. You know, we are at a breaking point here in Arizona. Tonight, we take a real and raw look at the homeless crisis and how together we can come up with solutions. This is not just a local crisis. This is a national crisis. According to new reporting, an estimated 30 to 40 million people could be at risk of eviction in the next several months.
This pandemic has definitely changed even the demographics. We're seeing a lot younger people and a lot of our seniors.
CASS is working to solve these problems for families, children, veterans, adults down on their luck, and as you will hear tonight, for senior citizens who now make up 30% of all people who are becoming homeless. I really don't know if there's anything more heartbreaking than seeing a senior citizen or a child without a place to call home. I have reported extensively on the topic of homelessness. In fact, the video you're watching is from a special report I did for 3TV in Phoenix. This is the 35th anniversary of CASS, the largest and longest serving homeless emergency shelter provider in Arizona. The adult and family shelters operate at full capacity, 24/7, 365 days a year, serving 600 people every day and night. But CASS is more than just a safe place for people experiencing homelessness. They are in the housing business with over 3 decades of experience getting people back into homes, helping them find jobs, and compassionately helping people address all of the barriers that may have led to a person's homelessness in the first place. I really want to give a special thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you so very much for your generosity and your support, but most of all, thank you for caring about this cause. At the bottom of your screen throughout the show, you will see information about how to donate to provide dignity to thousands of Arizona residents. And coming up, we will hear from our keynote speaker, Dr. Robert Marbut Jr., who is Executive Director of the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, which oversees federal policy and the direction of homeless services for the entire nation. And we will also have a heartwarming performance you won't want to miss by local music icon Walt Richardson, one of my faves. But first, I want to ask all of you a question. What does dignity mean to you?
Dignity to me means knowing or realizing your worthiness in a lot of things.
Treating others with respect.
Holding your head up high no matter what you're going through. Knowing who you are no matter what anybody says about you. And being true to yourself.
Restoring order, building a structure, and giving hope.
You know how to live life as an independent person.
Dignity to me is having a voice.
Dignity means being able to lift your head up, being able to pay your own bills, being able to walk into your own home. It means feeling secure. Dignity means being my Asia Pasha again. CASS gave me my dignity back. Central Arizona Shelter Services gave me my dignity back.
Thank you, Maisha. Absolutely beautiful. To all of you, thank you for sharing what dignity means to you. And welcome. My name is Letitia Fry, your auctiontainer for this evening for our Dinner for Dignity benefiting CASS. Now, as you've heard earlier from Carrie and so many people here tonight, you are in for an exciting hour filled with so many moments of not only the people that we serve, but the solutions that are coming through COVID and beyond. As you're tuning in here tonight, whether it is for the first time or perhaps you're rewatching this, or maybe you're at a watch party, I want to be sure that you have the chance to actually participate in the 100% tax-deductible gift that you can give by giving here tonight. So if you are not registered and watching this on someone's TV or possible PC or still even at work sharing this event, I want you to go to dinnerfordignity.org. That's right, dinnerfordignity.org to register on your phone so you can give off your phone. Here's another way you can use your phone anytime through this show because we don't want you to miss a moment. We have a text to give option. Simply text the word support. That's right, text the word support to 602-223-1027. Again, 602 223-1027. Text the word support and you can do just that. Support the many people and the work of CASS. Now, speaking of that, I'd like to take a moment to turn to someone who knows all well not only the work of CASS as someone that is a part of their actual incredible team, some of which I'll tell you about more when I was there for half a day with them, but also a man who's a father, a veteran, and once a member of the homeless community himself. Let's hear a word from CASS employee Dan.
Hi, my name is Dan Iverson. I am a rapid rehouse case coordinator at CASS. I've been in their shoes. I've been on the streets, and I can advocate for them because I know what it was like. And they're here to make a difference. They stood up, they raised their hand and said, I need help. My father passed when I was very young. He was in the military. After that happened, life just kind of took a turn for my mother and I. She was a single mom. And it was time we were sleeping under park benches, sleeping, bathing in the park bathrooms, couch hopping, as they say, and just kind of making ends meet. I mean, I would go and mow someone's yard for $20 just to give it to my mom so we can eat somewhere, I look back and sometimes I look at my kids and it's just like, I don't ever want to give them what I grew up with.
Thank you, Dan, so much. Now, if you're just joining us, I want to remind you, if you are actually watching us at a watch party or the office or sharing any sort of screen with anyone, we want to be certain that all of you are able to participate in the giving here tonight. Go to dinnerfordignity.org. That's right, dinnerfordignity.org, and register on your phone so you can give off your phone while not missing a moment of the upcoming hour. Also, we've allowed you another way to use your phone. Simply text the word support. That's right, the word support to 602-223-1027. Again, 602-223-1027. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight virtually, or if you're watching us at a later date, please thank you in advance for giving. And now, speaking of giving, I'd like to turn to someone who knows all too well the importance of CASS and happens to be our board chair. Please welcome, with a message from his own words, our board chair, Carl Oberg.
Thanks, Letitia, and thanks for tuning in to this virtual event. To me, dignity means a roof over my head and food to eat, access to medical care, having work, and people to love. But most importantly, it means a mom who today is clean and sober. And for the strangers I will never know that believed in her and her recovery. For over a decade of my childhood, between the ages of 2 to 14, my two brothers and I lived with our mom in cars and in tents and on the streets. Like some people who become homeless, my mom had a substance use addiction. And while it was a tough road for my brothers and my mom and I, we all learned resilience and some street smarts too. But most of all, we learned compassion for others. No matter what their circumstances, we learn to be courageous and stand up for people. We learn that there are good people who want to help. I am honored to serve as the board chair of CASS and grateful that I can give back to help others whose shoes I've walked in. In the next 3 years, we want to create a real and sustainable impact for our neighbors, just like me, who are experiencing homelessness or are at risk of homelessness. We will do this in 3 key ways. We are committed to opening more shelter beds to meet the growing demand and to build new housing models, to regionalize more services throughout the valley to help stem the tide and provide support in the local communities where they are needed, and to bring specialized services to people for our senior citizens, for those living with mental illness, and all who fall into homelessness. Any amount is appreciated, and for those of you who can do more, I ask you to consider matching my personal $3,500 donation that I am making tonight. Thank you, be safe, stay healthy, and now I'd like to introduce you to our CEO, Lisa Glow.
Thank you, Carl, for sharing your personal story. And thanks to all of you for joining us for our Dinner for Dignity. My name is Lisa Glow. We are at a juncture where we can no longer ignore the reality of the homeless crisis, nor can we ignore the serious lack of shelter and affordable housing that is contributing to this crisis. For the last 35 years, CASS has always had our foot on the accelerator, adapting and innovating to meet the needs of our community's most vulnerable. But for the last 7 months, we have had the pedal to the metal as we have raced to keep the more than 600 people we serve every day and night safe from the pandemic. to get people into housing as quickly as possible, and to prevent even more people from being evicted and becoming homeless. At the same time as we are flying the airplane, so to speak, we are also building new and better models of service for our most vulnerable. When I started at CASS 3 years ago, on my very first week, I stood at the entry to our 470-bed adult shelter to greet our clients. What I saw was nothing short of shocking. A sea of gray hair and a parade of walkers and wheelchairs. The silver tsunami of the homeless is very real, with 30% of all people across the nation entering homelessness who are senior citizens, the vast majority who've never been homeless before. Moreover, 65% of these elderly persons have multiple disabling conditions, most often a physical disability, a chronic health condition, or a mental health challenge, and most are homeless for economic reasons. They simply cannot make it on fixed incomes that typically range between $800 and $1,000 per month, or they have a medical crisis or a divorce that has bankrupted them. When the pandemic struck in March, we knew we had to move fast to help our most elderly and medically vulnerable persons. Staying in a bunk bed in a room with 150 people was putting them at too high a risk. The good news is that with support from the City of Phoenix, we were able to open Project Haven Hotel that you will hear about tonight. It provides our most vulnerable elderly people with a way to isolate during the pandemic, while we help them get back into a permanent home, get a job, return to family, and more. CASS will continue to be at the forefront of building a model program to serve the 30% of our population who are senior citizens. One of our big goals for the coming year, where we need your help, is to open new beds in a senior facility model that is just for them. It will be structured after Project Haven, which provides dignity and the right kind of support that our seniors need and deserve. We will also continue to be at the forefront of providing over 5,300 people every year, adults, families, children, youth, and veterans, with the safety and support they need. On behalf of our clients and our truly compassionate staff and our board of directors, thank you for your support and for tuning in. We have many growing needs, and your donations will help us to continue to meet these needs. I am personally making a $2,500 contribution tonight, and I invite you to match me if you are able. Whatever you are able to contribute, just know it makes a lasting difference in the life of another human being. Thank you.
It has been an honor working with our friends at CASS in supporting our shared mission to prevent and end homelessness among individuals and families while advancing compassionate community solutions. Our goal at DES is to help vulnerable Arizonans and their families to a path of self-sufficiency and success.
Since 2008, the Arizona Lottery has transferred more than $11 million to the Department of Economic Security in support of this mission. CASS has received nearly $3.3 million from the lottery community.
In fact, CASS is our largest partner in ending homelessness in the greater Phoenix area. And in fiscal year 2020, DES allocated almost a third of the funds we received from the Arizona Lottery to this amazing organization.
But we wanted to do more, especially now as COVID-19 is exacerbating the need, putting crisis-level strains on programs like CASS. So in addition to the Arizona Lottery's ongoing funding of more than a dozen state programs that serve those Arizonans who need it most, the Gives Back program is always searching for new ways to have impact for the people of Arizona. Project Haven will support the most urgent needs in Arizona. This Arizona Lottery $100,000 Gives Back sponsorship will provide food, shelter, and case management for dozens of elderly homeless individuals helped by Project Haven.
Organizations like CASS are the boots on the ground, meeting with the most vulnerable individuals and providing services like rapid rehousing and temporary emergency shelter. The work they do is critical, and they do it with passion and dedication.
We are proud of our decade-long relationship with CASS and our partnership with DES, and we want to support their efforts to safeguard the public's health by providing healthy meals and safe housing for older Arizonans who are at risk due to their being homeless. The Arizona Lottery exists to do good in our community, and we can accomplish our mission by helping organizations like CASS accomplish theirs. We hope that these transfers and sponsorships are flattening the curve of homelessness and the spread of COVID-19, especially within the senior homeless population who are even more vulnerable than others today.
I'm Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, and I first want to say congratulations to Central Arizona Shelter Services for 35 years of outstanding service to our community. Through thick and thin, CASS has been leading the way to ensure there is a safety net for vulnerable people who are experiencing homelessness. Most recently, the City of Phoenix chose CASS as our partners at Project Haven, a temporary shelter in a hotel that we are funding for senior citizens and medically vulnerable people to stay safe from the pandemic. As I met senior clients and the CASS staff at Project Haven, not only was I moved by the dignity of this model, I was inspired by the progress being made for the seniors in getting jobs, getting back into housing, and getting other medical or mental health treatment that they need. I even got to celebrate with one client who had a job and was moving out that day. My heart was broken, though, when I learned that there were clients at Project Haven who were in hospice care while staying at the hotel. While I was glad these individuals no longer were on the streets, I knew we still had a lot of work to do. I'm committed to creating more models like Project Haven, models that bring dignity and specialized services to our most vulnerable populations, including seniors, people with disabilities, and people facing addiction. We must anticipate a continued rise in homelessness, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. The city is stepping up. We just unanimously passed a plan to create and preserve 50,000 units of affordable housing in the next decade, which will help. But we must work more closely together than we have ever done before to open more shelter beds throughout the region, to stem the eviction crisis, and to build more affordable housing. In addition to financially supporting CASS, I'm asking you to join me in challenging the status quo and ask, what can we do tomorrow better than what we did today? Thank you. And now I'd like to toss the microphone to my good friend, Tempe Mayor Corey Woods.
Dignity to me is about opportunity and equality for all people. I recently became the mayor of Tempe, Arizona, and I'm here to openly discuss the concerns about the rise in homelessness, the decline in affordable housing, and the disproportionate impact of homelessness on people of color. Like my fellow local leaders, I am proud to honor the work that CASS has done for our community for over these last 35 years. I want to start off with a big shout out and thank you to my good friends and hometown people, Bob Ramsey and Jenny Norton. Tonight they have issued a challenge grant of $50,000 to help CASS carry out its racial justice plan. So for every dollar donated up to $50,000, they will be matching your donation. Homelessness is an issue in all of our cities. It is incumbent upon all of us to recognize the devastating effects homelessness can have on so many individuals and families. We also need to recognize that this borderless challenge will take each and every one of our communities to find a true sustainable solution. Tempe is committed to regional solutions and doing our part. The Tempe City Council will be approving $2.5 million in resources and programs that will have a direct impact on those individuals experiencing homelessness. On top of that, we are spending $2 million more on supporting families and individuals that are in need of counseling services, case management, navigating federal support programs, and fleeing domestic violence, which we all know has increased during the pandemic. A portion of these dollars are going to leverage existing relationships with nonprofit partners in our community, such as the Tempe Community Action Agency. This organization recently opened a daytime respite center for those living on the streets. Essentially, it is a one-stop shop that will provide services in areas across the spectrum, from crisis to stability, and finally, self-sufficiency. Over the last few years, the Tempe City Council has incrementally increased their human services budget. As mayor, I vow to continue this investment into our community and to our region. We can't have thriving communities without thriving individuals, and a safe place to call home is key to success in life.
In just a minute, the CEO of CASS, Lisa Glow, will have a candid conversation with one of the nation's foremost experts on homelessness and what communities can do to solve some of these problems. Again, we want to thank all of our show sponsors: the Arizona Lottery, Jenny Norton and Bob Ramsey, Amazon Web Services, Mary DeWayne and Joe Anderson, Monica and Terry Goddard, APS, SRP, BHHS Legacy, Arizona Community Foundation, St. Vincent de Paul, Arizona Housing Inc., AARP, DES, nationwide, and so many more. This show and the life-changing work at CASS would not be possible without all of you. And now a musical performance from a man many of you will recognize. He's been a fixture on the music scene in the Valley for decades. Here is the one, the only Walt Richardson with his take on the Cars hit classic, Drive.
Who's gonna tell you when it's too late? Who's gonna tell you things aren't so great? Can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna take you home tonight? Who's gonna pick you up when you fall? Who's gonna hang it up when you call? And who's gonna pay attention to your dream? Who's gonna plug your ears when you scream? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Yeah, who's gonna drive you home tonight? Who's gonna hold you down when you shake? Who's gonna come around when you break? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? You can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight?
Walt, thank you so much for sharing your time and your talent. And now I want to turn it back over to my friend, the CEO of CASS, who is standing by with a special guest.
Here in Arizona, in Maricopa County in particular, we have a large unsheltered population that has been growing every year for the last 6 years by about 25%. If we add more to that, we are going to be facing significant challenges. We already don't have enough shelter beds, and we don't have enough affordable housing. An area we've been very focused on at CASS that I've shared with you is seniors, and we're doing a lot to get those folks, particularly in the pandemic, sheltered. What do you attribute the rise in senior homelessness across the nation to? I've heard you talk about the grain and the food lines, but what is your opinion on that?
Well, we've been seeing that the sort of graying of the food line, graying of homelessness, we're seeing that trend everywhere. And a guy named Robert Eckert, who's probably the smartest person I know in the world of food and hunger and those sorts of issues, he and I have done a lot of joint activity, joint presentations and together. And the thing we seem to notice when we compare our data is if you look at the food lines today, that's what homelessness will look like in about 7 years. There seems to be about a 7-year lag. And if you look at either whether it's a community meal, a soup kitchen, a food pantry, a food bank, however that looks like today, but plot out 7 years, it will look very close to that way in the homelessness community. And I think the solution is we have to get really serious about treatment and recovery. And you can't expect to create, if you don't create an environment of recovery and treatment for a person to exit homelessness, and you just say, we're going to give you a voucher, we're going to give you a gas pass, we're going to give you food, and but we're not going to require or provide any treatment programs, and you expect somebody's going to exit. I think that's fairy tale land. You can't expect a person to exit the condition of homelessness unless you really work hard and create an environment that addresses those root causes, those root catalytic events, whether it's domestic violence, post-traumatic stress with military, substance use disorder, alcohol, mental health, behavioral health, divorce economics. Unless you treat whatever those causes are, you're just going to lose a housing situation, whether it's a house or an apartment. You're going to lose it again and again and again until you address the root cause that triggered the catalytic event that started the downward cycle.
So what I hear you saying, Director, is we need more resources at the front end to help individuals coming into homelessness to more quickly end their homelessness and more permanently end their homelessness. And that very much aligns with what we've experienced at CASS, and I know you've heard that from other providers as well. Are there also new models for specialized populations that you think we need to create in the emergency shelter communities, such as for people with disabilities? We have a very large percentage of people who are on disability payments who come into homelessness. They can't afford their rent. Where are we going to put those folks without enough housing, or people with mental health issues? But have you seen some promising new models, and what do you think is coming?
I think the most promising in it, and it's I'm not even sure it's a model as much as it's a philosophy, which is what's called trauma-informed care, where you meet the person where they are, and then you work with them, and based off of their specific trauma that was a catalytic event in their life that started the downward cycle, and you customize that treatment. So for a senior, that's going to look different than somebody that might be experiencing substance use disorders. That will be very different with somebody with the mental health issue and a divorce economic situation because they broke up with their partner or their husband, their spouse or wife, and now they don't have the joint dollars to pay the rent. And so it looks very different. And the biggest mistake you can make in the world of homelessness is assume it's a monolithic group.
What would you say to folks listening that's one thing they could do to bring awareness or light or understanding in their communities to the homeless crisis that we've been facing for years and that we're anticipating on some level is going to worsen?
Anything you can do to sort of pass the message that homelessness is not monolithic. All the individuals we work to help are our fellow brothers and sisters, and it could have been us. It could have been our family member.
That's very well said. Thank you so much, Director Marpet, not just for your help in the last many months, but for all the dedicated years that you have committed your life to helping resolve the homeless crisis in our nation and to build more housing. We're really happy to have you here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both so much for sharing that insight. You know, the whole focus of this show is to shine a light on the issue of homelessness, how people overcome, and what we can do as a community to help more people find shelter and success in life. I sat down with 3 people whose lives were completely transformed after they walked through the doors at CASS.
I was homeless. How does that feel?
How does that feel?
Horrible. Gut-wrenching. But again, like I said, I don't wallow in that. It feels bad, but I only allow it to happen instantaneously. Because you know why? Because I know something's good is going to happen out of this. It happens, it's life, but pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. It's not how many times you're gonna get knocked down, how many times you're gonna get up after you get knocked down. If you don't get up, you've done, you quit. But CASS is very much a part of my life right now. The help is there. You just have to, just raise your hand. I feel blessed to have CASS to do what they did. I feel very thankful.
Hi, my name is Cleo Lewis, and I'm all of about 64, getting ready to turn 65. I never expected that it would happen to me. It was 1989. I was a police officer for the city of Phoenix. I was an undercover police officer that investigated gang investigations. And one of my undercover cases didn't go right. And I became addicted to crack cocaine. And I ended up becoming homeless. And being homeless is different things to different people. And I didn't need just somewhere to stay, but a myriad of issues that's associated with being homeless hit me all at once. You don't know if you're going to eat later, but you only want to eat a little bit. Not being able to sleep at night because you may be somewhere where it's too dangerous, and trying to sleep during the daytime and hide well enough to where you don't offend anybody, to where they make you leave. Not having the dignity of being able to use the restroom when you need to. When you're homeless and hopeless at the same time, you don't feel it until things slow down. You don't feel how easy it is for you just to say, I'll just walk out into the middle of the street and whatever happens, happens, because no one cares. And I remember going into a small church in my neighborhood and saying, I really need some help. And they knew I was a veteran, and they said, go down to the VA. And the VA said, you need to go to CASS. And CASS being Central Arizona Shelter Services, I went to CASS. At CASS, all the wraparound services they have, I was able to fill out my VA pension documentation. I was able to go to a budgeting class to learn how to handle finances. It was like the experience of taking a deep breath and holding it for 15 years, finally being able to exhale. The light that was at the end of the tunnel started shining brighter. Every day is a new beginning. And I'm ecstatic at just the challenges that life presents to me. So I haven't lost anything. I've gained a lot.
This is the second time I've been homeless, but the first time I was with somebody and we had a truck, so we stayed in the back of the truck for about a month until we got some money and he got a job and that, and so it wasn't very long or hard or that. This time has been a lot harder. In fact, 8 years ago, my son passed away, and he was my strength, he was my help. And with him gone, I had nobody to turn to. And that's when everything started falling apart after he passed. Even just your Social Security is not enough to pay rent. You don't have enough money to rent an apartment, even the smallest apartment. There is no housing for low-income people. There's nothing. I think CASS is, just the best thing to come along. I don't know what I would do without CASS. I got more help there than I could even imagine that I was going to get. And then I have Parkinson's, so, it's hard for me to stay up, all day long. So I talked to people there and found out that they had another facility for me to go to since I'm a senior, where I could rest when I need to. And, we just need more support for the seniors, to be able to, with our medical problems and that, be able to go somewhere where we can lay down during the day, where we can rest when we need to rest. Not all people that are homeless are drug addicts or alcoholics. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, never have. So, We need to be more understanding and more helpful to people. It's a hard feeling. You're either going to sit and cry all the time or you have to get up and go do. And I prefer to get up and go do. I'm going to bounce back.
Thank you, Gail, so much for that amazing story. You truly do personify both dignity and the work of CASS. My name's Letitia Fry, and it's great to be back. We hope you're enjoying the program as much as we are. In this next portion, I will lead you through not only what your money can do for CASS, but also give you an opportunity to hear about something that they're facing that's far more than just the pandemic, and something I had a chance to visit with personally. But before I do, it's always a pleasure when I get to tell you that your money will mean more when you give it this time than ever before, because of the generosity of an incredible set of donors. That's right. Jenny Norton and Bob Ramsey have actually generously offered to match the first $50,000 that is raised here at Dinner for Dignity and match it with another $50,000, turning that into $100,000. So when you give, not only is it a 100% tax-deductible gift, but it also is your opportunity to double your money for the first $50,000. Thank you so much, Jenny and Bob, for that. Now, let's kind of move through this. And many of you may or may not know me. I actually go down and always participate with my clients in person so I can see firsthand. So I went down with Dana and met with Lisa and spent my time not only on the campus, seeing the people that CASS is actually servicing, as well as Project Haven, and actually had a chance to see the many different programs in action. So let's talk about this. What is the CASS difference, at least from what I was able to see? Well, the first thing is really obvious. They are the largest shelter that is here servicing the homeless community in Arizona. That's right. Many other clients of mine, including one of the largest women's shelters, is only 130 beds. The CASS that I got to visit was 470 beds. And that does not even include the 120 plus beds for families at their second facility. And that's important that you remember, they are 2 facilities. And I'll touch on that because there is a chance that they could become 3 with your help here tonight. So let's talk about this. 470 beds plus the family shelter. In 2018 and 2019, prior to this pandemic, they gave out 210,856 nights for someone to be in a bed rather than on the streets. Now, why is that so important? Because those numbers are huge. That's 5,102 people that are serviced in that 2018 to 2019 year. And here's the thing that I found to truly be the CASS difference. See, they don't actually require you for the first 90 days to go into case management. That's very, very unusual. They allow people and meet them where they are. They made a gentle reminder at 45 days, but it's not until 90 days that they actually require some form of case management. Now, what does that mean? Well, it offers some people to actually want to do it. So when you heard me talk about 5,102, of those numbers, 2,773 people in that 2018 year chose case management. They chose it. And here's the best part. That's about 50% of that population. Of those, 1,442, which is roughly 50% of that number, are in homes. It works. But here's the difference with CASS, the amount of people that it works for. That's right. That is a large number of people based on the number of people that CASS can serve in their facilities. So if we grow their facilities, we service more. Right now in the CASS population, 29% of them are senior citizens. Now, while that is over 1,300 individuals, here's the magic number I want you to remember. 60% of those people, it's their first time experiencing homelessness. Their first time. During a time where they've planned for the best part, the final part, and the most enjoyable part through retirement and fixed income of their lives. So let's paint this picture and let me help you understand how much more your money means tonight than ever before to CASS. You see, the day, Wednesday, March 11th, I don't think we're ever going to forget it. That's a day where Arizona declared a state of emergency, like many other states in this pandemic. But what was the front page article on the Arizona Republic that day? It was called the Silver Tsunami. It was an article about how CASS was just there on the precipice of creating a 3rd facility to join their single beds, their family, and address the next and most increasing population of people facing homelessness, the elderly, senior citizens. That's right. And on Wednesday, March 11th, we all know what the next day's headline was. And just like that, that dream stopped. It had to, like so many other programs, so that we could address the pandemic and the needs of people as they were coming, as our entire state and everyone in it continued to pivot. But here is the thing. See, CASS already had their finger on the pulse of the problem that was coming, and that was before a pandemic. Now, Project Haven, which I had the opportunity to go in person, and when I was there, I met a lovely gentleman who was so thrilled to show me where he was staying, tell me about his journey. And personally, I have a teenage boy. He could have been anyone's grandfather at one of my son's football games. But there he was at CASS. I noticed people in wheelchairs. I noticed their partnerships, that actually people were visiting them to offer medical care. And most importantly, I noticed that there was dignity all throughout Project Haven. Now, I did sit down with the many people that are working there that are part of the CASS staff. And here's the thing that they're trying to pivot. See, they have 1 year, literally 1 year that they've been given to have an incubation phase, if you will, to see what projects really will work to answer this other pandemic, the pandemic of the silver tsunami. One of them was an ingenious idea. What if we could have roommate situations with people with similar medical situations, similar backgrounds, and actually also similar interests? Well, we would require that a landlord was able to write individual leases on one property. These are some of the great ideas that are coming through this pandemic, thanks to CASS. So let's talk about what your money can do. Well, for one, let's talk about $5,000. $5,000 at CASS before even the pandemic happened would be 250 individual nights for people facing homelessness, and of course, 10 families at our family shelter. Again, this is your opportunity to text to give at 602-223-1027, the word support, or simply click the Donate Now button. And that's $5,000 of 100% tax-deductible gift. Now, in addition to that, we have $2,500. And as you saw Lisa earlier, our very own leader, Lisa Glow, gave you a challenge because she herself donated that dollar amount. For $2,500, that allows us to put a family in an apartment-like setting with our services for a month. How about $1,000? Well, it's the desert. It gets hot. And I personally had a chance to tour with our food banks, the people that normally give out pallets of water, and they have an enormous shortage because they could not have their water and food drives in the spring. That's 3 large pallets of water to people who have been out in the heat on the streets in Arizona. That's $1,000. That's a difference that you can make here tonight, 100% tax-deductible gift, along with CASS. How about $500? $500 would actually offer pillows, sheets to over 100 people. Think about that, 100 people being able to sleep with sheets and pillowcases. That's dignity. And of course, $250, that would be 5 nights for families that are currently facing homelessness. And the last and certainly not least, I know I'm not the only one to have thought that toilet paper became something so scarce. Well, $100 is 250 rolls at CASS. Thank you so much for giving, but most importantly for learning. And thank you for being with CASS as we all together here in Arizona continue to pivot and face not only the pandemic we're in, but the silver tsunami to come. My name's Letitia Fry. It has been a pleasure. And it's now time to toss back to my dear friend, your host, Carrie Pena.
Thank you, Letitia. You are amazing as always. And thanks to all of you for watching this program live or at a later date to learn more about what you can do to help combat this epidemic. Again, thank you to our sponsors, including legacy sponsor, the Arizona Lottery, and of course, our dear friends and incredible supporters, Jenny Norton and Bob Ramsey. Once again, Jenny and Bob have pledged up to $50,000, 50 as a match for every dollar donated. You are so generous. And Letitia just told us how far that money will go. It will help people like you've heard from tonight, Maisha and Cleo, live lives with dignity and rise up. I'm Carrie Pena. Thanks for watching.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round. And you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. We'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
This song speaks about the great electromagnetic field that flows out of all of our hearts into the quantum field. Love Wings. With your hand in mine, we can walk through any space and time and leave behind this crawl space with this narrow mind. We can't deny what we've been searching for all our lives. Yes, you and I, with love wings we can fly. We've had our share of avatars, we've had our share of battle scars. Not any one man's point of view can keep a whole world from the truth. We can fly, we can fly. With love wings we can fly. We can fly, we can fly into the clear blue open skies. I wish that you could see what the world looks like to me. In the end, all I know 'cause we're reaping what we sow. With your hand in mine, we can walk through any space and time and leave behind this crawl space with this narrow mind. We can't deny what we've been searching for all our lives. Yes, you and I, with love wings we can fly. We can fly, we can fly. With love wings we can fly. We can fly, we can fly into the clear blue open skies. With love wings we can fly. With love wings we can fly into the clear blue open skies. With love wings we can fly. With love wings, love wings, love wings we can fly. With love wings into the clear blue open skies. With your hand in mine, we can walk through any space and time and leave behind this crawl space with its narrow mind. Yes, love wings for all the love that's out there in the world. All of us joining it together. That's where we're going to make it through. Love wings, baby.